how can you be sure that it was actually P. Diddy?
Because I was standing by the front door. I watched the entire thing out. I had no reason to believe that it would escalate to a shooting. It was just male machismo and bravado at first. A lot of pushing and shoving, raised voices, hands. But then I saw them reach in their waist and draw from their hip.
If they did ballistic tests and Puff had gunpowder on him, why didn't the police go through with charging him?
Latanya Rubin has not begun to see reparations for what happened to her life. How did NBC get to profit on?
Jennifer Lopez is in a lot of trouble now that shocking facts about her past have been made public. It looks like she and Diddy were both involved in a major crime that they first got away from.
Days of deliberations, the jury now appears to be focusing on the gun possession and bribery charges against Sean Puffy Combs. This afternoon, jurors sent the judge 2 notes, one of which asked for a transcript of a phone message Combs left Wardell Fenderson, once his driver, now the prosecution's star witness. During the trial, Fenderson testified that Combs was armed the night of the shooting at Club New York, and later pressured him to claim ownership of a pistol police found when they pulled over Combs' Lincoln Navigator as it fled the shooting.
And I just want to make you feel comfortable, you know what I'm saying? Make your family feel comfortable.
What exactly Combs meant by that is in dispute, but the prosecution claims the rapper offered Fenderson $50,000 or a diamond ring to take the rap for the gun. The jurors also wanted to hear a readback of testimony relating to Combs' former girlfriend, actress-singer Jennifer Lopez, who was in the Navigator when it was stopped by police. An officer testified that everyone in the SUV was ordered to put their hands on the vehicle, but Lopez walked away, saying she was going home. As she was being detained, a gun was discovered in the vehicle. At that point, a sergeant on the scene ordered everyone who was in the vehicle under arrest. The officer quotes Lopez as saying, "It's not my gun."
They are floating issues that are old.
Jaguar Wright told us that J-Lo is going to be investigated with Diddy. Jaguar Wright said that Diddy and J-Lo are both going to be investigated for the 1999 nightclub shooting where the victim said that Diddy pow-powed her in the face.
Nada, a young woman, was out at a club on December 27, 1999, when her life changed. She says she was shot in the face by none other than music mogul Sean Puffy Combs, aka Diddy. She wasn't involved in any of the drama, she was just watching. Moses Shine Barrow, a teen rapper, was also there that night. He ended up being blamed for everything and went to jail for almost 9 years. Diddy, who was also charged in the case, was found not guilty. Nada was only 19 years old at the time, and she is now finally talking about what happened in public.
Having been shot by someone that was allowed to come into the gun when I couldn't bring in a phone, I would absolutely unequivocally like the case reopened. It needs to be reopened. And the saddest part for me is, had people taken what I said more seriously and listened more intently, 24 years worth of people probably would not have had to suffer.
Yeah, and I ask you this respectfully, just because I think people at home might be wondering, and I've never been shot, I can't imagine what that's like, but in the chaos of that moment, and it's a club and there's people all around, how can you be sure that it was actually P. Diddy?
Because I was standing by the front door. I watched the entire thing out. I had no reason to believe that it would escalate to a shooting. It was just male machismo and bravado at first. A lot of pushing and shoving, raised voices, hands. But then I saw them reach in their waist and draw from their hip. And I knew. I instantly turned to my friends and told them, be careful, watch out. And when I turned back, I know, and I've said over and over, I've heard the voice of God, said, you are about to be calm down. And as I said no, I looked straight forward ahead and I watched the muzzle flash from both of their guns and I felt the impact to my face instantly.
Wow.
There's no doubt in my mind who shot.
Everyone could tell Diddy was paying close attention when Nada spoke. This all happened when Jennifer Lopez was named in one of Diddy's cases. Some say she helped cover up the incident in 1999 and may even have helped dispose of the gun. The idea is that Diddy and J.Lo put the blame on Shine to keep themselves safe.
What really happened with J-Lo, Shine, and Diddy, it became an episode for Law & Order SVU. A lot of money was made off of that. And guess what happened in the end of that episode? When they finally tracked down the starlet who they were hiding from everyone so she never had to testify. The male rapper took the charge So the case was closed, and that's when she finally admitted that it was her that did the powing. Ice-T knows a lot of people from that time, and he used to frequent at that club. He would have known all of the real details of everything that happened that night. Natanya Rubin has not begun to see reparations for what happened to her life. How did NBC get to profit off of it?
So after him and Diddy fell out, he started working with Jodeci more. I see. How you feel about the victim of the club shooting? I gotta ask you about this, man. How you feel about her coming out now saying that, Diddy, he shot her and not Shine? How you feel about that?
Well, the way I feel about that, the case is closed, bro. It can't be no double jeopardy. It can't be no retrial because they already had a trial and a man was convicted for her injuries. A man already did time for her injuries. You understand? If they would have to go back and see that if there were ballistic tests done on Jennifer Lopez, on Puffy, God bless the dead, on Wolf, did they do ballistic tests? And then see if they did ballistic tests and Puff had gunpowder on him, you know what I'm saying? Why didn't the police go through with charging him? Why didn't the police charge him? She could say that now, and she said that I don't take nothing from the victim. I don't take nothing from the victim. But her lawyer should have advocated. I know Puff and Shine, they had the same charges. But like I said before, and like Shine said also, Shine said this also, because it's true. Puff had witnesses that come in to testify against Shine and say they saw Shine do the shooting. So her making those statements now, and the case is over with, it's been what? Well, how many years it's been? 15, 20 years? 15, 17, 15. Shine went to jail for 10 years. It was in 99, right?
Law enforcement now thinks the federal investigation into Diddy will expand and delve into his past, including the historic club shooting. Many were astonished by Jlo's level of dedication.
Oh, well, why would he shoot you? What did you do? Did you owe him money? And I'm like, class, pay attention. Bullets don't have names and they don't have predetermined destinations. Once they come out of the gun, they're going to go wherever they go. And that's the thing about crime and shooting people. You cannot guarantee that what you're aiming at is what you're going to hit, because you might be a thug, but it doesn't mean you have good aim. You might be a criminal, but it doesn't mean you have good aim. And that is exactly how I sit here today, because some thug criminal with an attitude and a ego that was outside of control decided he was going to fire a gun in a crowded nightclub and shot me in my face. By the grace of God, I am here. The first thing I said when the bullet hit me, and listen, when right before the muzzle flash went off, when I had turned back to look, I heard God's voice say, relax, you are about to get hit, calm down. And when I screamed, no, pop, pop, and it hit me dead in my face. And I never passed out. I never fell. I never cried. Everybody started running. And just like when you watch a TV show or a movie and there's one person standing in spot and everybody else is moving in fast motion and that one person is just in that spot, whatever they do looks a little slower, but everybody else is moving fast. That's exactly what it was like. Everybody was running, trying to get places. It was chaos. When that door, the first few people ran out of the door flew open. And remember, I was in that line sight, straight from the staircase, straight towards the front door. As soon as the bullet hit me, I threw my hands up and screamed out, no, God, don't take me. I'm not finished raising my kids. I have work to do. I screamed that at the top of my lungs. I said, I'm not going. Don't take me. I have work to do. I have to raise my children. And as I said that, the door flew open and I could feel that total rush of that cold December 27th morning air. It was freezing out there. And it passed. right before the air. You ever watch Star Trek and they say, "Beam me up, Scotty," and they start to pixelate? My body started doing that. I felt my body pixelating. I didn't even feel like a solid person anymore. And as my body was pixelating, that's when the door flew open and the air rushed in.
Jennifer Lopez has always been viewed as attractive. Every male she's been with has had something to say about her, with the exception of Diddy, who still refers to her as one of his great loves, and she once said the same about him, but their red carpet romance from 1999 to 2001 couldn't withstand. What happened at the club? According to reports, Diddy began the situation by knocking someone's drink out of their hand. Gunfire erupted, injuring 3 people, including Nada. She says she was injured in the face with a bullet from Diddy's rifle. Diddy and J-Lo fled the scene, but were apprehended many hours later. J-Lo was released shortly after, although Diddy stayed in detention for a time. The entire situation changed when J-Lo stated that neither she nor Diddy had a gun.
I was putting my earring in, and my girlfriend Kelly, whose house we were at, had a big Rottweiler named Brick. Brick jumps up, stands fully tall, and puts his feet on my back, on my shoulder, and it knocks my earring out of my hand. The earring falls, goes under the fish tank that broke earlier that week. And so there were still little pieces of glass under there. So when I went to get my earring, cut my finger. Just all these little things trying to stop me from going out of the door. I go clean my finger, I get the piece of glass out, I clean it, I wrap it, put on a Band-Aid, put my earring in. As I reach the threshold, they're blowing the horn, telling me to hurry up. I step 1 foot across the threshold and a voice says, "Go change your shoes." Now, I knew it was God. God talks to me all the time. So I was like, if I change my shoes, I have to change all of my accessories. And God just repeated, "Go change your shoes." Now, I'm a stiletto girl. I would stand up in my beauty salon in stilettos for hours and hours on end. This particular day, I had on short ankle boots. I'm not a flats kind of girl. I don't really wear flats. Well, now I do. But back then I did not. Those boots that I had on were flats. The heel was probably just about this big, and they were ankle boots, some snakeskin ankle boots. And I went back and I changed the boots. The boots I changed into, I had just bought them a month earlier around Thanksgiving from Bloomingdale's. And there's a story behind it. But what I had a girlfriend named Pat, whose sons were like the neighborhood guys that watch your back and all of that, and kind of they're on the block. She asked me for a favor. I did her hair. She came back and paid me at a later date and gave me a gift card to Bloomingdale's. I took that that gift card, went to the store, bought these boots. So this is bigger than just change your boots. It was an act of faith and an act of love for a friend that was repaid to me. I took that act of love that was repaid, went and bought a pair of boots, and those boots saved my life. I put those boots back. I went and put those boots on, which had a heel on them, went down to the car, we went off to the club. They were complaining, "You took so long, you're taking so long, we were gonna leave you." We laughed it off, we got to the club. We pull up to the block, and there are 2 ambulances at the front of the block as you turn the corner, halfway in the street and halfway on the sidewalk on each side, narrowing the stream of traffic to 1 lane. And I instantly said, 2 ambulances? Are they expecting somebody to die? What is this? Because I had never, ever seen that at a club or at this club. And it just stood out as so weird to me. My friends were like, I had just gotten saved. So they were like, "Oh, come on, hallelujah. Don't start with all that." Making their jokes. You know how it is. I'm from New York. We got thick skin. I'm not bothered by it, but it stood out to me instantly. It was a very cold day. So when we got to the front of the club, there were lots of people out.
Some now wonder if she lied back then to protect Diddy, and if it was her greatest mistake. Shine, the teenage rapper who took the blame, now says he was simply protecting Diddy, and Diddy let him go for it.
Did Puff ruin his life? Yeah, because Puff helped the prosecutor put Shine behind bars by getting the witnesses and giving them to the prosecutor so Shine could have that fall.
I was defending him, and he turned around and called witnesses to testify against me, and he pretty much sent me to prison. That is the context by which you must always describe that relationship. Yes, I forgave, I moved on, but let us not pretend as if I was in Miami for Thanksgiving. This is someone who destroyed my life.
Jennifer Lopez could be in major trouble if these ancient stories are true. She claimed Diddy did not have a gun. So why is she still so close to him? Some think Diddy has something on her, a secret that keeps her faithful.
They go raid Puffy's house, and they get all these videos of J-Lo doing this and J-Lo doing that.
So even says that J-Lo's husband, Ben Affleck, was viewed the tapes, which caused severe problems in their marriage. Reggie Brown also said they held an adult tape of J-Lo that could have been made available to the public at the time.
In about 99, 2000, Death Row started to announce that they were going to put out a Jennifer Lopez adult tape. Can you tell me about how you guys obtained it, what it was, and why it never came out?
Yeah. Ooh, that's a story. So, there's definitely a tape out there. Definitely. So, of course, y'all know Suge was in jail. And as the groupie would say, Michelet was in charge. Okay. I ain't never claimed to be the president, so that's who should put in some paperwork in a deposition or something that obvious must. That Michelet was in charge. No, not in charge, the president. Okay, who knows? But you ask anybody from any interviews, anything, from 1997 till 2002, even when Suge was home, who you had to go through to get anything done around Death Row. Anything. I mean, Suge Knight, personally, from his mama, sisters, his women, Sharitha Knight, anything from Suge Knight, David Kenner, any artist, anybody. Who did you go through? Who did you call? Who was the point of contact? Call Reggie. Even if you call the office, you call Roy. Who Roy gonna call? Reggie. Reggie would even decide from Roy if to put Suge on the phone with that person. And Suge will call me before he called that person. What that person want, Reggie? I don't care who it was. Any of those persons I just named.
It's just a speculation, but others think Ben left J-Lo to avoid getting caught up in the controversy. Ben is notorious for keeping his personal life secret. He hates being in the spotlight. In contrast, J-Lo looks to thrive in it.
J-Lo is just, I don't know. Every man she's been with has said the same thing, except for Diddy. Diddy's the only one that said she was a great girlfriend and how he wish he hadn't messed it up.
Nah.
How is that the only man in her life that had regrets about their relationship and everybody else ran for the hills? Like, it's not nobody noticing that. That everybody else that's left her, oh, she was too this, she was this, she was that. But Diddy said she was perfect.
Maybe she was meant for a medal.
What happens if you're only perfect for the devil?
God.
What the f does that make you?
Damn.
Look at poor Jen and Ben.
Poor Jen and Ben. And Jen is...
She really thought she was going to make that story work. She was going to get her little white Irish Catholic boy and she was going to be happily ever after. And him and all of his white friends, and they were going to they was going to be the Rat Pack with a bitch. It was going to be great. Even Gwyneth Paltrow don't like her.
There's a story.
You know they want her out of the Hamptons. She bringing too much of the block to the porch.
It just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It just is what it is.
No, what it is she is the perfect example of what happens when you don't want to be yourself. She can't sing, but they got her a microphone and let her pretend.
So let me
She
ask.
was an okay actress, but, you know, she was good at acting. She'd been doing that all her life.
There's even speculation that Diddy and J-Lo quietly married back then, not out of love, but for legal reasons. If she were his wife, she could not be forced to testify against him in court. That would explain why she stayed silent during the ordeal, and J-Lo has gone silent again when Diddy's legal woes resurfaced. Some think she is attempting to fly under the radar, but with Cassie's recent testimony and all these old secrets resurfacing, people are beginning to ask serious questions.
And I just want to make you feel like comfortable, you know what I'm saying? Make your family feel comfortable.
What exactly Combs meant by that is in dispute, but the prosecution claims the rapper offered Fenderson $50,000 or a diamond ring to take the rap for the gun. The jurors also wanted to hear a readback of testimony relating to Combs' former girlfriend, actress-singer Jennifer Lopez, who was in the Navigator when it was stopped by police. An officer testified that everyone in the SUV was ordered to put their hands on the vehicle, but Lopez walked away, saying she was going home. As she was being detained, a gun was discovered in the vehicle. At that point, a sergeant on the scene ordered everyone who was in the vehicle under arrest. The officer quotes Lopez as saying, "It's not my gun."
Rumors in the media were swirling all over, and a lot of people wanted to hear from J-Lo about what happened that night at the 1999 club shooting, since Diddy's name was being plastered all over for allegedly being one of the people that discharged the firearm. Remember, you had Tanya Rubin sitting there saying, no, it wasn't just Shine. Diddy is the one that had possession of this firearm and popped it off and it hit me in the face. Then eyewitnesses started coming out and talking about J-Lo and saying that they believe that she had a hand in this case.
Police charged Sean Puffy Combs and Jennifer Lopez with felony gun possession. Shine was accused of attempted murder and assault. Both men were released on bail. Charges against Lopez were dropped.